Hey everyone, welcome back to Food Culture Knowledge. We're going to do a TV review today. It's going to be the first 3 episodes of Season 2 of Rings of Power, which was released earlier this morning. I've went ahead and seen all 3 episodes, and let's go through it and give our impressions. But before I start, I want to point out one thing. You might see this tree behind me here to my left. It's got the gold lights on it, if you can see them. In our household, this tree has a name. It's called Laurelin. Yeah, that's right. We've got a tree named Laurelin in our house. And yes, there's a Telperion too. It's upstairs. But this is Laurelin, sitting beside me. So that gives you an idea how much Lord of the Rings means to us in our household, how much it means to me. So that gives you an idea, hopefully, where I'm coming from with this. Now, we didn't do a Season 1 review, mostly because we didn't have a channel back then. So I would have loved to have been able to do a Season 1 review and then come on and do this. But as it is, last week I did do a review of modern prestige TV shows. Make sure you catch that video before you watch this one, because it will help you understand kind of my critique going into this. My critique of this show and modern prestige shows in general. So make sure you catch that. But getting into this, yeah, that was boring. I didn't enjoy that at all. Especially 3 episodes. They released 3 episodes at one time. It was a slog getting through them. And if you're talking about Peter Jackson's films, or even some of the Ralph Bakshi works, those films I can watch all day on repeat, endless. I love them. To me, they're pure Lord of the Rings as it should be interpreted. Obviously, not perfect. No film adaptation of a book is going to be perfect, and there are definitely quirks in there that I would rather not have had. But especially like Peter Jackson's films, I feel like they did justice to Tolkien's works. And to see what this show is doing to that, it's pretty depressing. If I had done a review of the first season, I would have absolutely skewered it, because I hated the writing in that first season. It was completely awful. It was closer to fan fiction than anything Tolkien ever created. It strayed so far from Tolkien's vision and aesthetic that I think it was a crime to call it Lord of the Rings in the first place. You could call it Adventures in La-Di-Da Land or whatever the hell, but that wasn't Lord of the Rings in my opinion. So coming into Season 2, man, it was disappointing to see more of the same, because it's a lot of the same garbage writing, a lot of wishful, fanfic type writing, where it's like, hey, imagine if Tolkien viewed this world through this lens, and it's just depressing to watch, because it's if you read the novels, if you watch the movies that have come before, there's a very set vision there, I think, and it's been pretty cohesive. But this, it just goes off in every other direction possible. There's no cohesiveness to any of the storytelling, to the themes. And I think the first 3 episodes, they are a brutal representation of that. The first episode opens up with kind of a flashback. They're filling in the story, I guess, about how Adar defeated Sauron at the beginning of the Second Age. As I think they alluded to in Season 1. And we see him killing Sauron, I guess, with the crown. Now, of course, Sauron is a Maya, so he cannot be killed. He can only lose his bodily form, and he can only continue to exist as a spirit at times, but he can't be killed. So that's a very clear thing to remember. They showed his form kind of going into, I don't even know what to describe it, like a limbless, like, corpse or something. Like, I'm assuming he was just staying in an underground lake for 2,000 years or whatever until it brought him into the modern time frame of the show. But yeah, it just made no sense because if Sauron can stay in spiritual form, then why is he going to come in back as a body in that particular spot? But that's the lore making of this show, and that's its total weakness. That it doesn't care about anything that was written in the books. It's just like, hey, let's put out whatever we want, and let's see how it sticks. Because they wanted to show Sauron going from Forodroith, that ice fortress, down to the Southlands. So they wanted to show that journey, I guess, and all that nonsense. But it was really stupid, in my opinion. It was, if we're being honest, it was the perfect way to start the season if we're wanting to continue where we left at the end of season 1. So I guess it depends which way you look at it. Now, I wish there weren't 3 episodes to review at one time. Then I could kind of get into the fine details of every episode. As it is, I'd have to cover almost like 3 hours worth of material in this review. And man, it's just not worth it because the material is too boring to get into that amount of depth for one review. So I'll keep it pretty general. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty fitting start given what's come before. And it just devolved into more of the same, more weak storytelling with the elves. And I particularly hate, I just hate everything about the elves in this show. Mainly because the first mistake they made is the casting. I think the casting for the show is incredibly poor. Sometimes casting is what makes and breaks great TV shows or films. There's certain shows that you watch and you can't imagine like anyone else playing that character. Like who else could have played Gandalf in the original Lord of the Rings films? Who else could have played Tony Soprano except for James Gandolfini? And it's that what I mean. Like for the most part, all of the characters in this show, they're played forgettably by their actors, and it's a real shame because some of them are talented. It's not that these are a bunch of untalented hacks which they found off the street, but for whatever reason, probably due to bad writing, the best can't be brought out in them. They just feel so badly cast in their roles. And I feel like the elves are the worst offenders. It never feels like I'm watching the elves. There's that sense of wonder and enchantment with the elves. If you remember from the movies, and especially the books, if you've read the books, Samwise Gamgee is fascinated with the concept of elves. He wants to see more of them. He's excited to go to Rivendell for that reason, just alone to see elves. And there's this mysticism almost about them, this greatness. And watching this show, you never once feel like that kind of aura around the elves. It's just blandness, and it's like you're watching any other race of characters. They might as well be humans because there's nothing that stands out about them in this show, I think. Gil-galad, Galadriel, even Elrond, I don't like how their roles are being done. And like I said, I've seen some of those actors in other things, and they've done a great job. It's not the actors themselves not having the capability. It's just the interpretations of them are so wrong. I think, again, it's probably the writing that's causing that. But it never feels like I'm watching Elrond when I watch. I believe his name is Robert Aramo. I'm not exactly sure how you say his last name, but I think that's it. But yeah, it never feels like I'm watching Elrond in the same way that I was when I watched Hugo Weaving back in Peter Jackson's movies. He was especially famous back then, Hugo Weaving, because he was just coming off the Matrix movies. So we're like, oh, wow, Agent Smith is coming in, and all of a sudden he's Elrond. But then you never once thought that, this is Agent Smith playing Elrond. Oh, it's like, this is Elrond. He played it so well that it was so natural. You never forgot that he was Elrond. Whereas, with the current actor, it's just like, I never feel like I'm watching Elrond. I feel like I'm watching someone cosplaying Elrond, if that makes sense. And the same thing for Gil-galad. It's just that he shouldn't be an elf. There's no feeling of I'm watching an elf when I watch that actor's interpretation of Gil-galad. And getting to Galadriel, I mean, it's just awful. I think she's been put through the ringer. Morfydd Clark, the actress, plenty enough. I don't think I need to do it here, and I've seen her on other things. She's a fine actress, but yeah, this interpretation of Galadriel is completely bonkers. It's wrong, and it's 100% the writer's fault. There's no actor that can do anything with this kind of stupid writing, where the basis of Galadriel is just, hey, girl power. And you want to make her a badass girl, warrior, whatever, fine. I'm here for that. But write a character that does, that kind of caricature justice. Give her smart writing, give her smart dialogue. Don't have her spout nonsense like there's a tempest within me. I mean, that's just dumb. I'm sorry. From beginning to end, you never feel like you're interacting with Galadriel. And again, you think back to Cate Blanchett's performance in the original movies, and it's ethereal. There's that aura that's always there. That there's a mysticism behind Galadriel that you're like, is she a witch? Is she good or bad? We're always wondering that. If, of course, you don't know anything about Lord of the Rings coming into those films, you always got that sense that who is this lady? It was so well done. But here is just like, she's angry, she's combative, and it makes no sense. There's no linear correlation between that Galadriel and the one we see in this series. And I 100% blame the writing for that. There's nothing else. There's nothing that Morfydd Clark could do, I think, to do justice to this character, given how it's written. So yeah, one particular scene that particularly galled me was the one, I think it was the end of episode 1, where they're portioning out the rings. They have the 3 rings like in a circle, in a gathering, with all the elven lords, including, of course, the High King, Gil-galad. And all of a sudden, the rings, fall, and they just land in front of certain characters. And those are the people that end up getting the rings. These are the most powerful weapons, perhaps, currently in Middle-earth. And you decide to give them away based on who they just happen to fall in front of. Especially a character like Galadriel, as she is portrayed in this TV show. You think Gil-galad would give her a ring of his own volition? Hell no. So it's so stupid that's how they decide. Oh, okay, Galadriel is going to get this ring, Círdan is going to get this ring, and of course Gil-galad is going to get his own. It's just so stupidly written, and it's so disappointing that there's not more thought behind it. That they're not willing to invest more thought into creating a more immersive scene, a more thoughtful scene about how Galadriel ends up with her ring, how Círdan ends up with his, and of course how the High King ends up with his. No, it's just like random luck, right? However the physics fell, it's how the rings were apportioned. It's so stereotypical of this entire series so far. That level of writing and that level of thought behind it. There's another scene that stood out to me. I think it was in episode 2, where they're discussing Gandalf and Styx, and they're kind of trying to imply that, hey, this is Gandalf, and this is how he got his name. And I think before that, they had a scene where, oh, your name isn't chosen for you, it's already there, or some BS like that. It was absolutely stupid, that scene. But a little while later, we get another scene with them talking about finding Gans. And of course, we get the wink wink that, hey, this guy might be named Gandalf because he'll have a Gand, and I guess that's the Harfoot word for stick. And what I'm guessing is we're going to get some cheap ass written backstory about how Gandalf's name is Stick Wielder, which I don't think you want as a name, probably. But hey, I mean, that works for them. But yeah, that's going to be the origin of Gandalf's name. And who the hell needed that in the first place? Why do we need an origin story of Gandalf's name? His Maya name is Olorin, so that's what he's called in Valinor. So who cares about where Gandalf came from in the first place, like his name? It's just so stupid. But that's the kind of level of writing also that we've been discussing and we've been seeing in the show since its very first episode. It's just dumb, unnecessary things that we don't need answers for. I don't think anyone out there is clamoring to know what the origin of Gandalf's name was. We don't need to know. We don't need a scene for it. Show us more important things. Do some world building, not stupid backstory that has no relevance whatsoever and will serve no purpose whatsoever. And I can't believe they're still trying to stretch this out. Like, who is this guy? Like, oh, he can't be Gandalf, can he? Or is he Saruman? No, we get it. He's Gandalf. Shut up and let it be known, and let's move forward with the story. But instead, they're stretching this out, and I'm guessing sometime mid-season, late season, we'll finally, he'll find his staff like you saw in that stupid dream of his or vision, and it'll be, I am Gandalf, and it'll all be so dumb and vapid and stab me. It's all so terrible. If there's any one part of this show that hasn't completely gone to hell, it's the story of the dwarves, or at least it wasn't in season 1, in my opinion. It wasn't good, but at least it was somewhat enjoyable, as much as something in this show can be enjoyed. And at least I think the casting was fine for the dwarves. You at least felt like you were watching dwarves when you were watching the show, unlike especially the elves. One thing that I'm wondering about is, do dwarves actually, were they ever able to actually grow crops? Like, did Tolkien ever envision that? In all the reading that I've done, I've never come across him having written about dwarves being farmers, especially in Khazad-dûm. Maybe they were, but as far as I know, they're only miners and creators. They create things. They don't cultivate living things. So I'm guessing this is completely made up for this TV show, that a dwarf has never farmed a head of lettuce or anything in its life, but they're just creating that nonsense for this show. More likely, if they needed fresh produce, they would have traded with outsiders to get them. That's probably the most likely story, I think, in Tolkien's universe. But here, I guess they're farmers too, so why the hell not? But yeah, the dwarves are fine in this. They're not outstanding. They're there. They have their story about, Khazad-dûm's in trouble because I guess an earthquake and blah blah. We need to get them rings, right? That's what the entire point of this nonsense is. We need to get the dwarves some rings. So hey, let's create a crisis and get them some rings. So that's what's going on right now. There wasn't actually much development in their story, I think, through the first 3 episodes. They might have had actually the least amount of screen time of any of the groups that are in this show. But yeah, not much went on there. And as far as the humans go, that was all in all pretty inspiring too. Whether we're talking about Numenor or the low men of the Southland. Numenor didn't even show up till I think the 3rd episode, right? And I thought it was stupid. The coronation scene at the end, especially, like, all of a sudden an eagle of Manwë is coming and choosing Ar-Pharazôn to be king. I mean, yeah, he usurps the throne from Miriel. We know that, but I just felt like that was a dumb way to do it. Like, why would an eagle of Manwë come and choose Ar-Pharazôn? Or why would anyone think that Ar-Pharazôn was being chosen by that eagle? I don't think you could even manipulate an eagle to come to wherever you would want. Those eagles are very powerful beings, and they serve Manwe, which he's the head of the Vala. So I thought that was dumb. Everything with Numenor for the most part has been dumb. Isildur is up to some hijinks out in Middle Earth. You know what's funny? As soon as they had that scene where his horse is going through the forest, and those guys anything that goes in that forest never comes back. I was like, yeah, they're gonna have Shelob or some BS like that. And lo and behold, it's a spider's den, spider's crypt, cave, whatever, that the horse walks into, and which Isildur is in. I don't know if that was Shelob's brood. I don't think she would have been around in the Second Age, but knowing this show, it'll probably end up being Shelob. I don't think they ever suggest who the head of that brood is or whatever, who the mother is. But I was fully expecting, hey, it's Shelob, like one of those kind of moments. And I'm sure we'll get that level of stupidity soon enough where, she'll come and play. But yeah, then they have him going to Pelargir and all that nonsense. I don't care. None of this stuff is particularly interesting or well done. Isildur's arc is not particularly good. He's just kind of there. And we have, I think Theo is his name, and the elf guy with him, I'm forgetting his, Arondir, yeah, that's his name, Arondir. And they're just kind of chilling out over there, trying to figure out what their role is in all this, and it's also boring and it feels pointless. I'm guessing they're just going to hang around and do whatever until the guys from Numenor come back to fight Sauron again. But it doesn't seem like they have much to do, nor is any of it particularly interesting. I thought it was hilarious that Bronwyn, Arondir's girlfriend and Theo's mother, just ended up all of a sudden dead. I'm guessing they couldn't get the actress back for whatever reason. They don't want to pay her, or she didn't want to be in this dreck, which I can't blame her in the least bit. Good for her from escaping the show. But yeah, they killed her off screen and just burned a dummy in a cloth to write her off the show. So there's that. Good for her, but the rest of us are still here to suffer through this nonsense. But it doesn't feel like that arc's going anywhere. The Southland in general doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. Mordor with Adar, I don't care. It doesn't feel like any of this is particularly consequential, especially if you've read, all the books. You know what's coming. We all know what happens. But the setup to it all just feels so dumb and uninteresting. So I'm curious what you guys think about that, because that's my overall takeaway from these first 3 episodes and the show so far in general is it's bad writing. And overall, it's boring. I don't want to watch this. And I'm a hardcore Lord of the Rings Tolkien fan. Again, this tree is its name. I guess I'm a bit of a nerd. Okay, I'm a geek. Sure, sue me. But I named my tree Laurelin because of my love for Lord of the Rings and Tolkien. So that lets you know where I'm at, and to see this is it's depressing, and I can't imagine someone having made a Lord of the Rings TV show, movie, whatever, and it being boring. I can imagine, okay, maybe it can be bad, right? Anyone can make something bad, but to make this universe boring, man, that takes a serious level of bad. That takes a serious level of not caring and not giving a rat's ass about what you're putting out. Instead, it's pretty clear, hey, let's make money, right? We're here just to cash checks and, to hell with anything else. To hell with actually making a good story. And that's what it feels like when you're watching this. You're watching something where it's made without love and care. That's the way I would put it. You're watching something that, it doesn't have passion behind it. It has paychecks. It has corporate heft and weight. But it doesn't have a loving hand to guide it. It doesn't have passion behind it. Oh yeah, there was one more dumb scene that just came to mind. I think it was pretty much the end of the 3rd episode, where the Queen of Numenor, of the greatest men ever, by the way, race of men. The queen of them gets slapped by some commoner. So that's what we're doing here. The queen of the most powerful race of men ever can get slapped, and it doesn't matter. She gives the person a hug, and it's okay. You know, it'll be all right. I understand your pain. How she gets even close enough with her guards being all around her, Muriel's guards being all around her, to slap the queen of Numenor, I can't fathom, because that sure as hell is not going to happen in real life history. No commoner would be able to get that close to a king or queen by the royal guard. They'd never allow it, so it's just stupid. What a perfect way to end this 3-episode arc of stupidity. Just let's make stuff up and let it go, and let's show that Muriel is kind and understanding, and she loves her subjects because she allows them to hit her. What a perfect way to encapsulate this shit show. Basically, this entire show was this entire 3-episode arc was a shit show, and it was a boring shit show above all else. So let me know what you think of it. Give it a watch. I'm always open to ideas. Hey, if you like this, I'm not gonna hate you. You know, if we all like things that are different from other people, I'm sure I like things that other people might find stupid. Hey, that's fine. So yeah, I'm not gonna hate anybody for loving this, but from an artistic point of view, I think this is trash. That's just my opinion. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I appreciate you all watching. We'll do a review for every episode this season, and with probably the next episode, I'll probably get a little bit more in depth into what's actually happening in the episodes, just because I don't have to do 3 of them in one go, and I can actually focus on stuff. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are below, and I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll do some more. Till the next one. Please honor us by hitting that subscribe button if you like this video.